and welcome to all of you for today's lecture. Now today we are going to have a look at the syllabus of NET exam pertaining chemical sciences. Now part A is general science, where general mathematics, physics and some general aptitude type questions are there. You are supposed to solve 15 out of 20 and 2 marks each, that is 30 marks. Part B and C belongs to chemical sciences, like this has got physical, inorganic, organic together, and then part B is 35 out of 40, that is 70 marks and 2 marks each here, and 25 out of 60 part C for 100 marks. So 25 into 4, that is 100. So this is cumulative 200 marks, and we are going to have a look at the syllabus of organic chemistry. In addition to this, you can have the combination with organic and inorganic, organic and physical, or even you can have physical and inorganic also. But being organic chemist, I would prefer organic because around 20 questions are there which can be solved, and 5 from other section like inorganic or physical can be solved. So you can easily score very good marks in the part C. Now to begin with the syllabus of part B or C, the first chapter is IUPAC nomenclature. Now IUPAC nomenclature, the naming of organic compounds, and this is going to be very important. You have to know the rules pertaining to the nomenclature. So functional group should be given the list number, the substituents according to their names and all. So you can revise the stuff which is already there right from 8th standard to BSc, or even it is applicable for MSc also, because IUPAC nomenclature remains the important topic. Then principles of stereochemistry, the second chapter. Now in this, the stereochemistry of acyclic and cyclic compounds, and all the principles of the stereochemistry, stereospecific, stereoselective, enantioselective, distereoselective reactions, their examples, all will be covered under this topic. Third important thing is aromaticity, the special property which is given by the cyclic conjugated polines, and this is related to special stabilization of aromatic compounds, and the Huckel's rule of aromaticity is correlated with molecular orbital theory, and then the aromaticity becomes very important concept to explain the reactivity of certain class of compounds. They are termed as aromatic compounds. Then reactive intermediates, carbonium ions, carbanions, carbene, free radicals, then the reactions, their stabilities, their reactions, the relative stabilities. If 4 carbanions are given, then you are supposed to mark a stable most. That kind of questions will be there. That will be objective type, especially it will be asked in part B, wherein you are supposed to find out the relative reactivity of substrates, relative stability of intermediates, and so on. Now here reactive intermediate, their stabilization, the factors affecting the stability of carbocation, carbanion, carbenes, free radicals, everything is governed by certain things. Like for example, carbocation, the stabilization is there by the virtue of inductive hyperconjugation, resonance effect, and so on. So similarly for carbanion, it will be minus I effect, the conjugation, and so on. For free radicals also the tertiary radical will be more stable than secondary, then primary, and so on. So all those things we have to revise while studying all these topics, the reactive intermediates. Then organic reaction mechanism. Now this is very big spectrum is there, right from your addition, elimination, substitution, elimination, all those broad categories are there. Beside that, the rearrangements are there, some radical pathways are there. So all that has to be covered under this organic reaction mechanism. All your SN1, SN2 reactions, E1, E2 reactions, then aromatic, electrophilic, nucleophilic substitution reactions, and the all cyclization reactions, and also all in general organic reaction mechanisms. So pathway we have to suggest the mechanism for certain reactions. So all such type of questions, like they may ask you the transformation of A to B, and you give the reactive intermediate, the structure of it. So once you know the reaction mechanism, you can easily predict the reactive intermediate in that. So that is governed by organic reaction mechanism. Then sixth topic is organic reactions and organic transformations. Now organic reactions, all your classical reactions you can have, and then organic transformations, the transformation of one functional group into another, oxidation, reduction, cyclizations, the managed reaction, and all those reactions are here, organic transformations. So suppose we want to convert acetophenone into ethyl benzene, what should be the appropriate reagent, what should be suitable reagent. So you can go for Wolff-Kishner reduction, that is one aspect, and so on. Name reactions and rearrangements. Name reactions, you start with alphabet A and go up to Z. So unester synthesis, acyloin condensation, and so on. And then rearrangements. Now rearrangements at electron deficient carbon, electron deficient nitrogen, electron deficient oxygen, they are the broad classes. Under that some name reactions like Beckmann, Hochmann, Curtius, Lawson, Schmid pertaining to nitrogen, Beer-Williger, then Debenov, and all those related to carbon, and oxygen, once again oxygen, Beer-Williger, and other reactions wherein electron deficient oxygen is involved. So all those rearrangements are to be studied. So where you have to look at the product distribution, the relative migrating aptitude of the functional group is going to be vital here in deciding the major and minor products in those reactions. So you have to know the rearrangement, the basics, substrates, what type of substrate is required for Beckmann, say oximes, ketoxymes to be precise. Ketoxymes, when treated with acid, they will undergo Beckmann rearrangement to form N-substituted amide. So that is basic thing, and you can have variety of examples in that case, and accordingly you have to give the mechanisms for those rearrangements. Then eighth one is important, retrosynthesis. If a target molecule is given, then you can go back to the starting compounds. So that is reverse of synthesis, retrosynthesis. So from target molecule you can go to the basics, like what type of starting you will require, what type of reagents are required, then synthons, synthetic equivalents, or the reagents, and the reaction conditions and all you can write on paper without performing it in laboratory, but it should be logical. The disconnection part has to be precise so that the synthons and synthetic equivalents can be easily obtained, and that should be logical according to chemistry. Then here functional group interconversion, the transformations wherever required, and all those concepts, the special terms which are used there, that has to be understood, and then only you can write down the, like objective questions are there, then you can For example, if I am asked to write down the equivalent for this, then can be acetic anhydride, can be acetyl chloride, can be acetyl bromide, and so on. So you can always write down the possibilities, like this acylium ion can be obtained by number of methods. So if options are given, then this will be one of the option, the remaining 3 will be false options. So you have to be careful, and that is how you can deal with the retrosynthesis. So target molecule, disconnections, functional group interconversion, and so on. So everything is required for this. Asymmetric synthesis, now this is something different, wherein you are talking about the synthesis of chiral compounds. So if your substrate is prochiral, then it is easy to create chiral center. If it is not, then you need to have a chiral reagent or some specific reaction, some complexation, some intermediate which can lead to the formation of one product in excess, so that asymmetric synthesis principles are followed. Now here you can have the Cramp's rule, anti-Cramp's rule, those models are there for making the transition states, and then so on. Then pericyclic reactions, the broad category is you can have electrocyclic reactions, either ring closure or opening, cycloaddition reactions, rearrangement, the sigmatropic, and lastly the group transfer reactions. So all those categories you have to know the examples, the selection rules for the reactions. Say for example 4+2 cycloaddition, thermal is going to be supra-supra, 2+2 photochemical will be supra-supra, and so on. So even those cycloaddition reactions are governed by Woodward-Hofmann rules of conservation of orbital symmetry, then Foucault approach, everything is there. So that has to be dealt in detail before, and since this part is very common from your syllabus of MSc Organic Chemistry, revision of the entire syllabus will make sure that your basics are there, and solving objective requires some application, because it won't be straightforward. The 4 options which will be given, they will be very close to each other, and therefore basic knowledge is required. So pericyclic, as we are doing few, if required I will go to the basics also, so that there should not be any query, because whatever selection rules I am putting, so there are certain methods to derive them, and in exam you are not supposed to write justify, you have to just tick the correct option, but for that you have to do some rough work in the given space. Then synthesis and reactivity of common heterocyclic compound. Now common heterocyclic compound containing nitrogen, sulfur and oxygen, so that is there in the syllabus. Now these will be 5-membered, 6-membered heterocycles, 6,5, 6,6 fused bicyclic compounds, and they are common heterocycles like pyrrole, indole, pyridine, isoquinoline, and so on. So synthesis and reactivity. Synthesis, some name reactions are there, so you have to look at those synthesis: furan synthesis, pyridine synthesis, then indole synthesis. So some name reactions are there, and you have to revise those things. And reactivity, pertaining to that. Say for pyridine, electrophilic substitution will take place at position 3, nucleophilic at position 2. Why? You can write down the intermediate and you can always justify that. So that is the reactivity part. Synthesis is how to get that compound, how to synthesize it in laboratory, that is synthesis part. Then chemistry of natural product. Now this is very big topic. It starts with alkaloids, terpenoids, then steroids. All these compounds, they form natural product. So alkaloids, right from monoterpenoid to diterpenoid, tetraterpenoid, and then it will go up to steroids. And alkaloids, you start with various amino acids and go to the alkaloids from simple to complex and so on. Sometimes a combination of alkaloid and terpenoid is also seen, some radical coupling and all, some principles are there. So chemistry of natural product is one entire course for MSc Part 2 organic students. So this chemistry of natural product, normally biosynthesis, biogenesis is given. Now here the general books which are available, they give normal synthesis as well as biosynthesis. Biosynthesis for this thing you can use Devik book or Mann book for chemistry of biosynthesis of natural product. Chemistry of natural products, so many books are available in market. Then last but a very important chapter, that is structure determination, physical methods. We are going to talk about UV, IR, proton NMR, C13 and mass spectrometry. So all those basics of UV spectroscopy should be aware of. Then IR, proton NMR, C13, because what we come across in net question paper is part C has got a combined problems like IR, NMR, CMR and some mass data is given, and below some options are given. So the structures are very close to each other, but there is some distinction, like Paradise substituted you can easily eliminate one or two. Then amongst those two you have to look at the coupling constants and the relative position of the functionalities. So that will help you in eliminating the remaining options. So that is how you are supposed to proceed. For mass, you must know the fragmentation patterns for certain compound. What is the probable fragmentation pattern? What type of bonds are easy to break? The fragmentation, where it will appear. Suppose I am having tertiary butyl benzene, then the fragmentation can lead to the phenyl cation, because the branch carbon chain at aromatic ring, the side chain, is easy to break. So that is how we are supposed to look at the compounds of our interest. Then the principles for mass spectrometry, the fragmentation patterns for alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, everything you have to learn. Then where McLaughlin is possible, where alpha cleavage is required, where the neutral molecule elimination is there. So everything you have to learn. Say for example in alcohols, M-18 is going to be, M plus minus 18 is going to be prominent peak, because alcohols readily lose water molecule, and M plus is going to be very weak, and so on. So all those things you have to learn. Regarding carbon 13, the carbon 13, you cannot judge the carbon number on the basis of the intensity of peaks, because quaternary carbons will be very weak, and then you cannot get the exact intensity of the peaks. Whereas in proton NMR you can easily measure the integration and correlate with the number of protons which are available in that. So all these things, the cumulative thing is required for getting the answers for the problems based on organic spectrometry, and all these things they require excuse me, a practice. Now next time we'll resume from these pericyclic reactions what we have started with, and slowly we'll try to cover all the topics with the basics, of course, so that you need not have to go to the books. So you have to know the basics, and then your job is to apply the knowledge and solve the examples which are given in the form of multiple choice questions. So some tricks are required. I'll be telling you those tricks, some principles, how to remember, remember those 20 odd molecular rearrangements. It is easy, with one chart you can remember. So for reactive intermediates also you can put one chart and that will be done. All these things, IPSC nomenclature, all those rules, if you recollect, it is very easy to name the organic compounds and so on. Okay. So next time we'll continue from here. We'll be continuing with pericyclic reactions. So if required, I'll revise few things so that it will be easy for you guys to deal with this kind of syllabus. It is very vast syllabus, but very important points will be covering. We cannot cover all because it requires a lot of time, because each chapter has got 24 lectures allotment according to university. So we'll try to cover it in 5-6 lectures so that we can give the justice to multiple choice options and the trick to solve those examples, the methods to solve them. Okay. Thank you very much.